I'm gonna ignore the elephant in the room. Okay? No, I'm not. I am trying to grow a walrus mustache. And I also like cheese now. Now, I discovered my fascination for cheese. These are like cute little biscuits that I stole from my parents. But I also stole the cheese from my parents. I don't even know how much this cheese that I like costs. Because I get everything from my parents. That's not good. Anyway, what? So, uh, there was a work event, right? And we did this like a pop quiz kind of thing. And that evening, we were told there would be snacks, and I was like, I haven't eaten all day. Besides lunch, I steal lunch from the little kids that can't eat. I just go run over and get the slowest kid and just grab his lunch and stuff that in my face. But besides that, besides me hunting the little kids for food, um, I I was looking forward to these snacks, and then I'm sent down to go and get these snacks, and um, there was an amazing there was an amazing setup where I walked into the wrong hall, and I thought, oh, these guys are here for the quiz, they're doing the quiz, and I get halfway into the hall, and then the lady standing up, she's like, syphilis, and then there's like a list of STDs on the board, and I was like, this is not the quiz, and I realized that at the exact time she screamed syphilis, and so what I did was I 180'd with a squeak, and then walked right out of there. But the teachers had already seen me because I have big feet. So they heard me come in, they heard me 180, and then they heard me leave again. But then I found in the kitchen there was a little tray of like grapes and cheeses and cute little crackers, white people, and also there was little biscuits. And so on the little biscuits tray, I grabbed one of those and I grabbed the questions we were going to be asked from the little thing. It's all been prearranged. I didn't look at it. It says don't look at it. I didn't look at it. And then I took it back to my team at the Genius Bar, the cool place where all the cool kids live. And we sat there and we got into it. And I was so hungry. Normally I would just ignore the cheese stuff, right? Because that's weird. It's like rich people food, and I'm quite good with my pot noodles. I don't know if this is rich people. It probably is rich people food because it's not exactly rice. So anyway, so I sat there and I tried this chutney. It was um, red onion and something chutney, right? I was like caramelized chutney. Oh god, caramelized onion and something. I didn't know it was chutney though at the time, and I tried some cheese with it, and I was like, man, this stuff rocks. This is what the parents and adults are doing when they go and get like cheesy platters and stuff like that. The cheeses were gross, right? Let's not beat around the bush yet. One of them had blue mold on them. Don't think so. I tried a little bit of everything, but didn't float my boat. But I did enjoy the experience. And I found one cheese I liked, and everyone else was full, so I got to sit there and stuff my face. I think it was just cheddar cheese. Like it was that extravagant. Um. Anyway, so I'm sitting there and I'm stuffing my face, and I get to eat the rest of the caramelized onion as well because I double dipped in it. So they're just like, you can have it, and I was like, yeah, so just fucking start slaughtering it. But I didn't double dip. I'm not gonna admit to double dipping. I'm not one of those kids. But then there was another family gathering, and there was some cheese provided for such an occasion, and one of the cheeses caught my eye. Now this cheese was 36-month aged, extra mature, like times 10 or times 36 uh, month old cheese, right? I don't know what kind of cheese. I think it might have just been cheddar because someone laughed at me today saying that I was talking about this 3-year-old cheese, and they were like, Oh, but it was cheddar, and I was like, I don't know what it is, but it probably was. In fact, I can confirm that statement as we speak. Yeah, vintage cheddar. Holy shit! I have no taste in cheese, but oh, this the shiny sparkles is not helping. But anyway, I'm gonna keep that out. Fuck yeah, I'm gonna go for it. And while I'm here, this is my small part of what's left of my caramelized onions. Look at that. Oh man, this is the story's going all over the place. Let's slow it down, right? Holy shit! I'm gonna treat myself. Fuck it. I'm gonna treat myself. Thank you, John. All right. So, I went to this family gathering and I realized that the 32-month-old cheese, 36-week, I don't know, it was 3-year-old cheese, right? I worked it out. I sat there for 3 or 4 days afterwards. I was content to just call it the 36-month-old cheese. And then I thought to myself, it's a bit excessive, referring to that many months. Like, you don't, like, some people refer to their child as, like, oh, he's only 12 months. I'm like, that's a year, right? Hold on. So if I take 36 and divide it by 12, I would get how old the cheese is. And now I don't remember how old the cheese was. I think it's got to be 36, right? Because if there's 6, right? The 3 is easy because it's like 3 divided by. You're messing this up, right? So that's 2, and then that's 2, and then that's 2. So there you go. That's 36. That is 3-year-old cheese. And this 3-year-old cheese, it blew my socks off. It was everything that extra mature cheese does, but then better. 3 times better. So it was great. I really enjoyed it. And then I started raving about this cheese. I was like, yo, 36-week-old cheese, that's the shit. That's where it's at. Everyone's got to get some of this. And so I raved to my parents about it, right? They didn't really know that I was a cheese person just yet. And I was like, yo, I'm coming down for the weekend. We got to get some cheese plates, you know what I'm saying? Now, my dad is a cheese person. So he was like, oh, hell yeah. He had like port and stinky cheeses. I didn't care about any of that stuff. I just wanted that 3-year-old cheese. And the cute little crackers, right? That's what I wanted. I wanted that. And caramelized onion. That was a must. Also, apparently it's just chutney. I didn't really know what chutney was. I used to avoid it most of the times when I was a kid. Now I realize it's like a sweet thing, so I'm like, okay with that, but chutney used to scare me. It was tomato sauce or bust, back in the day. And now I can appreciate chutney, but back then, tomato sauce chutney was for like weirdos, like adults, and other kids with no taste. But I saw my brother go through the tomato sauce phase, and I can tell you it is cringeworthy. It's good to expand your palate, And I say that while I critique all the other cheeses, and the only cheese for me is a 3-month-old cheese, 3 years old cheese. So I've got some 3-year-old cheese here, and I've got a slightly used knife from last night. Oh, look at those sparkles! Damn. Anyway, so yeah, my dad sat down and he organized all the cheese and stuff, and we sat down and it wasn't just an upper class experience eating cheese with your parents. All right, this was like a souped up upper class experience. I don't want to go into details, all right, but there's certain things you could be doing while eating the cheese that it's like you gotta be a millionaire to think of these things. And also, port didn't do it for me. It wasn't exactly sugary and sweet like the ciders I like. So that's my sugar addiction. Alright, so we got some delicious ass cheese. I'm gonna try and cut some of this up. Gotta save the rest of the cheese. I don't want to touch it because then I've had a horrible experience where you once you touch the cheese, the next day there's mold on it, and you think, what was on my hands? And you put those hands all over yourself. So watch out. Now I can't get the cheese to go back in the bag. Well, I'll just chuck it in the Ziploc bag. It's fine. No, it's not. Yes, it is. Oh God. I'm having an existential crisis. I can't do that. All right. I'm not gonna eat cheese on camera because that's weird. And if you're starving when you're watching this, it lacks taste, you know, like sophisticated humor. So we had cheese, and I got to steal the leftovers of the cheese. So thank you very much for that. But yeah, now I'm a cheese person. I had also had no idea that Childish Gambino's Redbone had rude words in it, because I only ever heard the clean version. But at work, my boss was like, "Oh yeah, so we can't have Alexa because the kids will put on rude stuff, and then we get in trouble, you know." And I was like, "What a bunch of baloney!" Like, yeah, one or two kids will put on like, "Oh Alexa, play that '69 song or something," you know. That's like that scene. I saw that come in, but I was like, "No way!" It's like no one would do that, you know. And then I said, "Alexa, play Redbone," and it got blocked for adult content. And my boss got this message on his phone. Oh, someone tried to play Redbone featuring N word, F word, F word in a school, and then I was like, oh, and I got in big trouble. So apparently Redbone has lots of swear words. So watch out for that. Besides that, I have a story about not about cheese anymore. We done talking about cheese. Don't worry about it. But I've got kid gave me a Haribo and drums of my people. Now the Haribo story is really cute actually. Last week was a bit tough at work. You know, a couple of the guys were off, and I didn't check my beard for my massage for noodles. Hopefully there was no noodles. It doesn't look like there was noodles. Anyway, and so this. Oh Jesus! So anyway, it was a tough day. It was a tough day, and then it became a tough few days, and then it was like, oh no, you know, and we weren't sinking, but we were floating, right? Now floating isn't exactly swimming towards the shore. It's bobbing up and down the same distance from the shore, and seeing the shore there and thinking, wow, I could probably get there if I started to swim. But whenever you're swimming, you're just staying stationary because you're not swimming, you know, as fast enough. Now that's a metaphor that's like probably 6 layers above what we were talking about and what you expected. Now that's understandable. Don't worry about that. You know what I'm saying? I'll break it down. You know, we was working, but we wasn't working good enough. All right, there you go. Broke it down. Put it on simple layers. And so what happened was like it started getting a little bit piled on and stuff, and I started getting a little bit stressed. And I remember one day I didn't bring an energy drink in, and so I was suffering, you know, because of my addiction. And I'm packing away this Chromebox, right? Now, if you don't plan ahead, I never realized this, but if you don't plan ahead the Chromebook packing, you could be there for over an hour just putting Chromebooks in the shelves. So you've got to really get your shit together. And this day I did not get my shit together, and I kept getting distracted and blah blah blah. So the next thing you know, it's like almost time to go home, right? And I'm still packing Chromebooks away, and I'm like, my God, I might never finish this. And I'm a little bit down in the dumps. That day I was down in the dumps, and this little kid comes up to me, right? This little kid who we often see at work because they like to hang out in our little area because we let them play video games. And that wasn't a sexualized wink. Alright, just in case that could be misconstrued. No, we let them play video games because we're cool. Alright? And I remember from my time in high school, Mr. Board, oh, am I saying his name right? I hope so. Mr. Board, I appreciate you. And he was like, I'd rather have you guys in my classroom in break than smoking outside the shed. And so I've used that my whole life, and that is one of my dreams, is to be able to provide a place where you can avoid smoking behind the shed because you're playing video games. That's my dungeon Minecraft basement thing. Anyway, what was I even talking about? No one even knows what the hell's going on. I'm trying to talk about the cheese. I talked about the cheese. The little kid came in and he was like, "Hey, you want a sweet?" And then I see his little child hands attacking this little bag of Haribo's, and he Haribo's like little jello, like little jelly sweets, like horse hoof sweets, you know, and so processed horse hooves or pig hooves or whatever hooves, gelatine that you think, you know, it's like gelatine sweets. And he whips out this one, and I look at his little hand, look at his grubby little fingernails, his little child fingernails with dirt, and he's like, "It's a bear," or something like that. It wasn't a bear, it was a crocodile. He's like, "It's a crocodile." And I was like, "Thank you. Thank you very much." And then he ran off to go play video games. And I thought to myself, that is the greatest tasting Haribo I've ever had. And then later on, I kind of got sick a little bit in my mouth. But that was probably because I was thinking about where his little hands had been and stuff. And I didn't feel nauseous. It was my body rejecting the Haribo. That's what that was. But yeah, I really appreciated that day. But you can't go up to the little kid and be like, "Hey dude, remember that one time you gave me Haribo? I really appreciate that." Because then the next thing you know, he's going to bring more Haribos. And then I'm some sort of pervert exchanging compliments for Haribos. I don't want to be labeled like that. I have grown this mustache. But that's to keep the kids away. Because they'll get scared of me. They'll be like, "Oh shit, guess what he looks like?" I'm keeping my distance. Now another guy at work, he's got that down fine tuned. I'm not saying he's got the mustache. He's got this walk, right? When you're plowing through kids, you want to look so busy that they don't even think, "Oh, I'm going to stop that guy and ask him for something," or "That guy's got big feet. I'm going to make fun of him while he walks past," right? Because that's what I have to deal with, right? Because I have this clumsy kind of like, oh, someone described me as the Marshmallow Man or something like that from some shitty advert where everything was soft. And this guy walks into a pole. So first of all, you can't describe me as having some gloomy kind of Marshmallow Man walk, because that trailer was so bad. It was about how everything's soft. So this guy chews these mints, these soft mints, right? Now I like those soft mints, so I'm not gonna complain about that. But everything's so soft in this world. Even the guy's spine is like walking like, and then he walks into a pole because he's chewing mints. And the pole happens to be hard, which is contradictory to the entire world this guy's in. The sky is fucking made out of pillows. The floor is made out of pillows. He's made out of pillows. Everything's made out of soft pillows. And then he walks straight into a metal pole made out of pillows. So that advert can go suck one, right? Makes no sense. It's just bullshit marketing. Come on, guys. Step up your game. I didn't even see any subconscious, mind-altering images in that advert. Get your shit together. It's 2022. It is 2022. Anyway, what was I talking about? Yeah, that little kid gave me a Haribo. That was a pretty big deal. I've kind of forgotten who it was now, so, but it's probably for the best because I don't want to have favoritism, you know. And then the other day as well, there was like it was raining outside, and all of a sudden I hear this thunder, and I was like, "Whoa, that's some loud thunder," you know. I'm glad I'm inside, being an IT guy, slapping the keyboard. And then it just kept thundering and never stopped thundering, you know. And I looked outside and the rain had stopped and there was still thunder, and I was like, "What is this?" And then I realized it wasn't thunder. It was the sound of someone moving furniture. Like, you know, like if you're in an apartment and you just hear someone moving furniture, like, wah, 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 but you're hearing that. But they just never stop moving the furniture. So they're just always moving that furniture, always hearing like the footsteps and the squeaky stuff and like the thumping. And you're just like, what the hell's going on? Like, I thought like, okay, they're probably doing a desk move. But what desk move lasts for 30 minutes? And I was like, it's got to be some sort of music, maybe listen to like tribal music or something, like some guys on the drums, they got some guys like dancing and shit. I was like, yeah, that could probably that could probably make that noise. But for 30 minutes, like teachers don't put movies like tribal music on for 30 minutes, and it's a bit distracting. I mean, you can't sit there studying maths and you got this guy banging on the drum, ah, la, 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 and he's like just, you can't do that. So I was like, what the hell's going on? And I ignored it for that first time I heard it, and the second time I heard it, I got a ticket to run over and fix a printer in the art class. So I thought, okay, this is good because the sound was coming from the art class. Well, actually, at the time I didn't realize. But I went over to fix this printer, and I saw the noise. Well, the noise was getting louder, and I was like, oh wow, it's coming from the art class, And then I look into the classroom, and there's just rows and rows of little kids beating the shit out of these little clay houses that they've built. Well, I don't know what they're building, but they've got clay, and they've got to work all the bubbles out, and so they're just hammering this poor little clay. He's getting like mushed against the thing, and then kids like uppercutting him, and it's just horrible. And I was like, wow, okay. So that's what was happening. There was no thunder. There was no one moving anything. Well, moving the tables and stuff and hitting it so hard. But it was the sound of a room full of kids beating the shit out of clay. That's that noise. That's what that noise was. And that was pretty exciting. And then I don't really do legal stuff, and I try not to take things too seriously, because otherwise I just flap about things if they are too serious. But there was this guy, I don't know if I mentioned him before on the podcast, well, on my rants, but there was this guy that he took my deposit for a room I was going to move into, and then about a week before he was like, yo, you dodgy, I'm keeping this deposit because you wasted my time. And then I was like, okay, at the time I was like, I am dodgy, so I apologize for being dodgy, but I never agreed that you can keep my deposit. I just thought I was dodgy, I was in the wrong, let's bottle that up inside and forget about it and move on. And yeah, it just, so like for months afterwards, I was telling everyone about this sailor guy, because I like to refer to him as the gay sailor. He was coming on quite strong, and that's why I thought the relationship was, oh, he wants to be friends, he wants to be like, hey, let's talk about what I did today, that kind of stuff. That's not what he wanted, I don't think. I think he wanted to sleep with me, because of my handsome beard and stuff. So anyway, so this guy, when he probably realized that I wasn't willing to sleep with him, or whatever his excuse was, he decided to cancel the thing, and he kept my deposit for wasting his time. And then like months later, I'm sitting there playing video games, and I'm telling my friends the story, and one of my friends is like, dude, did you even move in with him? And I was like, no. And he's like, dude, you can't just take someone's deposit for wasting their time. And I was just like, oh yeah, you're right, it doesn't sound very, justice-like, And he was like, and if you think about it, he wasted your time. And I was like, oh my god, he did, because he cancelled on me. So I was like, wow, what the hell? So my friend pushed me and pushed me and pushed me until I stopped being a little bitch, and I got some like legal help or just guidance from the university, which is quite nice. So I wrote this little thing about what happened to me, and I sent it off, and then the little lawyer or future lawyers sat there, and they were like, clear case of this and that and whatnot. And so they gave me some guidance and said, hey, listen, if you didn't move in, that guy can't keep your deposit, dude, so you gotta take him to small claims court. And I was like, that sounds like way too much work. It sounds a little bit scary, And then they were like, yo, we'll make you a letter that you can send this guy and ask your money back. And I was like, oh, legalese, I don't really like that either. But, so So what I did was I got the letter and I thought to myself, I don't really want to send this off, so I'll just ask him very nicely. I'll be like, hey dude, if you remember me, hey, I was just wondering if I could get my deposit back for that thing. So I did. I sent him on WhatsApp. I know you're not supposed to do that, and that was probably highly against what the legal advice team wanted me to do. But I asked the guy first, and he was like, "Fuck you." So I was like, "Okay." So then I waited until after Christmas. This is around Christmas time, and after New Year's, I then sent him the letter because it was gonna happen then. And then he gets the letter, and he sends me this response, right? And I've got the response here on my computer because I haven't moved it, but I got it on a Thursday, and I started freaking out big time because I was very anxious about this letter. Like, what? Because I had sent him basically in legalese. It was like a death threat, like pay this or, I'll take you to court, whatever. Because that's what the guys wrote for me, and that's not how I would deal with something. I would be like, hey man, that's not very nice. Would you mind doing this and that, whatever. But this was like straight up like, 1, 2, 3, fuck you. And I was like, that's a bit hardcore for me. So I expected something hardcore back. And I was so scared of that, so anxious about that I didn't open it for like 4 days. And eventually I told myself, oh, it's Friday now. I can't open it because if I open it on the holiday, on the weekend, then I'll just freak out about it. And I won't be able to do anything. I can only do stuff on Monday because then I can like photocopy it and shit and hire a lawyer if I need a lawyer or whatever was going to happen, So I lied to myself, and on Sunday night I was too emo to ignore it. And I thought to myself, imagine if I read it at work and it was super serious and I got like anxiety and I started like crying at work or something. Not that crying at work is necessarily what I do. It's more so, except for that one time when I was really sad and they left me on my own. That wasn't very nice. But got to be a big boy. Got to not cry at work. So in this particular occurrence, I didn't want to get so stressed. And then when I opened it, it was exactly what my fears were. And then like I had to deal with like feeling like shit. I didn't want to deal with that at work. So I thought to myself, okay, well, let me just open it now. So I opened it, and he basically said that I had caused them like emotional pain and stuff like that, which is far beyond the cost of the deposit. And I read this to my friend, and my friend was like, dude, if he's saying emotional pain, then he's just desperate to keep the money. Like, that's not like, I mean, we were talking, we had back and forth conversations. Not once did he ever say, oh, that's a bit, much, or, whoa, Ben's being weird, or anything like that. Because it was, I was being weird, but he was, he would respond to my messages with the jokes. I would say a joke, he would say a joke, and I was like, oh, that's funny, and that's how we would do things. So it wasn't like, so when he canceled me, I didn't see it coming at all. Like, I didn't want to waste my parents' time. I'd rather waste his time and my own time than waste my parents' time. So I was like, dude, can I move in on, I'm getting sidetracked here, but we couldn't agree on a time to move in. He told me, yo, that weekend would be perfect. And then he turns around and he's like, oh, I might be sailing. But nothing's set in stone. So moving on Sunday. And I was like, I've already told my parents, that, and then we got plans and stuff. Like, can I, I'll come down on Friday and I'll get the keys and then I'll move in on Saturday. And, and then he was like, he didn't even say like no to that. He was just like, I didn't hear anything. And then I was like, well, like the next day or something, I sent him a message, and I'd spoken to my parents. I thought, well, if he's not budging, then I've got to try and get my parents to budge, help me move and stuff. And then they agreed, oh yeah, we can swap and we'll do stuff on a Sunday, so we'll do the move on Sunday. It's not really a big deal, or we'd stay over on a Friday night or something like that, And so I was like extremely grateful that they would do that for me, they would alter their plans and stuff just for me, just for, helping move. And I sent him that message, hey, my parents are cool with Sunday, what time works for you, whatever. And then I looked at my emails, and that night, the night before, he had sent me this email saying I was dodgy and that he didn't want me in his house, and therefore I wasted his time and he's keeping the deposit. and I was so shocked. Like I didn't see that coming at all. And anyway, the lesson overall is fuck you, right? That's just to him. And then also it's don't put yourself in a situation where that can be justified, where someone can do something like that to you. So keep things professional if it's a professional. Like it wasn't a professional relationship. It's not what he came across as at all. He wanted to fuck me, right? Because I'm just that good looking. But but yeah, even then, like he's your landlord, or this person's your landlord. So don't let it get that derogatory, or let it get that weird. Um, and don't treat him like he's one of your friends. Because he's not. At the end of the day, he's your landlord. And that's what I took away from the situation in the beginning. And now I took back my deposit as well. Woo! Anyway, this cheese is smelly. It smells like it wants to be eaten, so I might make that happen. Also, watch The Expanse. I've lost where I am in The Expanse, which isn't good. Try not to multitask when you're watching The Expanse. I'm checking out season 2 of Dota. I'm checking out. Oh, that new Disney movie. I forced my parents to watch it, Encanto. And I spoke to my boss about it because he saw it with his daughters or something, and he was just like, "Yeah, there was lots of singing, and it was like emotional." And I was like, "Did you cry?" And he's like, "No, I didn't cry." And I was like, "Well, it's obviously not that good then, you know." And I sat there and I cried like a little bitch. I had like I count movies based on like how many tears, right? This movie was like beyond 7 tears, like, and it just kept hitting me with left and right emotions, and I was like, "Oh fuck," and then it was getting right in the face with the emotions. So yeah, I cried like a little bitch, and so therefore I would say it's got to be a good movie because it made me get the feels, right? And I watched this guy, Shiza, what's his name? Yasi Coleslaw? No? Yeah, something like that. He writes books as well. I like his audiobooks. Ben Yasi Croshaw. Croshaw? The Yahtzee guy? I don't know. Anyway, this guy, he said it's better to have bad games than boring games, right? And he said that when we look at art, we wanted to give us an emotion, and even boredom or something, and not boredom, but even like disgust is an emotion, And I got that, and I was like, yeah, that's cool. That makes sense. And so the fact that I cried at this movie means that it put me through an emotional roller coaster, and therefore, objectively, it's a good movie, because it had like an emotional response or something, right? But I would say overall, the probably the best movie I've seen in 2021 was Ghostbusters, because they played my nostalgia really well in that movie. But I like to think that it stood up on its own, but it didn't. That's just my nostalgia talking again. But I really enjoyed it. If you like the first two Ghostbusters, or you've just seen them and you're like, well, that was fun, okay, whatever. Then this other Ghostbusters, I don't know, but it made me. I'd watch it again. I haven't watched it again. I'm not gonna watch Encanto again. Christ, I don't want to go through those. That hurt my eyes. But I would watch Ghostbusters again. So yeah, maybe I'll watch it later on today. Then I've got a super cool audiobook about a guy riding around Africa. So I recommend that one. He starts it off, right? This is his first book that he did, right? First one. Second one is the one I listened to first, where he rides around Europe. No, not Europe. God damn it, Asia. And this one's called Into Africa by Sam Manicom. Africa by Motorcycle. Well, it's an audiobook, so I'm not even reading it, I'm listening to it. But this guy gets his bike and he drives around Africa, right? And in the second book, he's like a professional driver, but then he drives around Asia and stuff and sees different things. And I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. But in the beginning of this book, right, he's like, oh yeah, first book I've ever done. Yeah, and I totally dedicate this to the children. And I was like, oh, what? It's dedicated to the children of this like support thing that he did, like charity thing, right? And I was like, if it's dedicated to children, how can this be a good book? Because the last one was like raunchy, and he described like this chick's titties once, and I was like, wow, And now this one's dedicated to children, and I was like, oh, I made a big mistake. This one wasn't worth the credits on Audible. This is gonna be some shitty book, and he's gonna be like, oh, and then I saw a lion, and then I saw a zebra, and so I was kind of like, oh, how could this can't be good if it's for children, if it's PG. I don't like PG books, right? Because I'm lacking the imagination to make PG books fun. And PG is parental guidance, by the way. It's African or it's not an African thing, but it's like an age rating thing. So, but then in the very first chapter, he talks about this being in prison, and this big guy comes out with his penis and stuff, and he's like, shit, I'm gonna get raped. So he starts fighting off the guys, and then the guard comes and saves him. And I was just like, well, that's not a child's book. This is not a child's book. And then I was like, this is going to be a good book. And I am enjoying his experience, but he's inspired me as well. He's like, he had he bought a bike for 2 weeks, he trained on the bike, and then he ran off to Africa, right? Now, if he can do that, I don't even want to go to Africa. I want to go around the UK. So why don't I get a bike and then go to France or something? Not France, but Scotland, right? Or Ireland, or Wales, because I've never even been to those places yet. Well, if I have, I haven't explored them yet. That's what I'm going to go with, because that covers all my bases. And I would like to do that. I live in this country and I haven't even explored this country, but I want to go to France or somewhere, else, and I'm like, or America. So, priorities. Get the local places sorted. Once you've seen all that shit, then you move on to the next places, right? Because that's also supposed to be cheaper. Like, if you live there and you just walk home afterwards, then check that out first. But yeah, I'm glad this book isn't it's not PG. Anyway, I'm going to eat my cheese now with my delicious caramelized onion. Much love, and have a nice afternoon or day or whatever it is, such as life. But life is good.